every moment tests you. Every action defines you. This is the prestigious initiative where mindset becomes muscle and character becomes legacy. I'm Chris Bean, martial artist, coach, and relentless believer in growth. If you're here to sharpen your edge, lead with integrity, and build a life that echoes beyond your years, you're home. You can find the podcast on social media at PrestigiouSPod. You can find me at Chris Bean Official, and the email for the podcast is prestigiousinitiative@gmail.com. This is the Prestigious Initiative. Welcome. I'm Chris Bean. Today's guest is Susanne Biro, a leadership coach and speaker who works with CEOs, C-suite executives, and senior leaders. Over the last 20 years, she's seen many leaders win on the outside, but lose touch to what really matters on the inside. Through her inner life leadership work and Deep Fear podcast, she helps people identify when external measures of success are actually hiding or hindering those inner stress, fear, or disconnected feelings. Today, we're going to look at how leaders can shift from chasing outward approval to cultivating inner strength, presence, and clarity. And we're also going to talk about why that shift doesn't weaken the results, but it actually can amplify them. Susanne, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. What a wonderful summary.
So, Susanne, why would somebody want to listen to our conversation here today?
It's a great question. I think life is hard, something that we don't acknowledge. Adult life, leading at a senior leadership level or leading our family toward a vision that we have, being adult in any capacity. This gig is not for the faint of heart. We know how it ends. We get old. We die. We watch people around us get ill and die. And that's the human gig. So it is naturally an arduous journey, but there are some things that really can make a difference. And we're going to talk about some of those.
Now, okay, so I'm kind of interested. What triggered this, what first triggered this idea of the outer life trap? And maybe give the listeners a kind of a brief summary of what that is. So, and then, what first triggered that for you? Was there a moment that you saw it in your own leadership life? Like, where did that come from?
Well, I'll answer that in maybe various orders. I'm a perfect human specimen, and so I study myself, which is the essence of all leadership and personal development. Is we do the work on ourselves because we're a perfect sample of what it means to be human. And I kept having this thought of when do I get to arrive? I just kept, trying to get things out there, whether it was recognition, validation, some sort of acceptance. And this question, when do I arrive? When do I get to relax and enjoy my life was just always sort of haunting. And then I would see it in just about everyone I interacted with, both personally and professionally, is it sounds so cliche, but if we watch ourselves, we'll see ourselves do it, is when X, then Y. Like when I get there, when I, get married, when I, complete my college education, when the kids move out, when I lose those 10 pounds, then I will feel. And it just becomes at some point after iteration in our own experience and or because of my work, I listen to the thoughts and concerns and aspirations of, at this point, thousands of people. I see the same pattern there. It's like, wait a second, what is going on? And so it was just helpful to put a label on it, outer life trap, so we can identify it. But it's certainly not new. Most of us have some awareness of it. It's been written about probably for centuries. But I wanted to bring a way that we could access and then just highlight it so we can talk about it to say, wait a second, what are we doing, each of us, that is causing us to miss our beautiful life right now? And what is that costing us? Because to the extent that I am using this as a means to an end, let's do this interview so I can somehow get somewhere where life is going to be better for me, then I'm actually not ever really here with you. And I'm not enjoying this moment with you as an end in and of itself that doesn't always need to simply be some stepping stone to some better future. Can't it just exist right here? And then, of course, when it exists right here, what happens is we create, outstanding relationships where present to more of the information that you are actually sharing with me, that leads to all kinds of things that matter to us in our personal relationships And of course, in like important business negotiations, if we're fully present. So that's kind of a longer answer to your question.
Yeah, and okay, so what that tells me is like it's a question that you have to ask yourself, are you living life that's in line with your values? And when I say values, for me particularly, I don't mean honesty and integrity. Those are, as it relates to a person, I see those as morals. But values is how we spend our time, because time is the most valuable commodity that we have. And the way that we spend our time is where our values lie. And if we're not living a life that's in line with the things that we want to be doing, if we're not spending that time in the values that we want, then we're out of sequence there. And so it sounds like from your perspective that this outer life is a realigning of those values to make sure that you are spending that time wisely and on the things that you actually value doing.
Yes, and being the person that you most want and intend to be right here. So you're an embodiment of your values and learning and practicing how you want to feel. Because I think we have this dream for ourselves of when I get X, I will feel a certain way. Like when I have more money, I'll finally relax or, be able to be present. And we can chase those things, but we can just look at some famous, successful people and know that, well, that doesn't bring it. Not by itself. It doesn't mean that don't chase those things and achieve those things. Those are important. If you have dreams, go chase them. It's important that you do that. But not with the false belief that when you get there, life will be inherently different than it is now. It won't feel different unless you've also practiced how to feel it here. And so I like to work on the two tracks. What do you want to achieve out there? That's some tangible things, goals, bigger house, new business, etc. And then how do you anticipate that and dream of that feeling? And how could you choose to feel that way? So every day is a living, breathing example of the life that you want. So then when you get the whatever it is you want, the more money, the house, the whatever, you know how to really enjoy it and appreciate it.
And of course,
And it's not a letdown.
well, the interesting part about that is the feeling part. Like we all know, we can see what other people have. Like I want this, I want that. But a lot of that is not from the inner, like it's not from my person, my inner being. It's from like societal pressures saying that, oh, that person has this, maybe I want that. This person has that, and oh yeah, I guess I want that too. And we're always chasing somebody else's dream. But what often goes unchecked is that inner person. So the feelings, the emotions that go with who you are as a person. And so linking those things together is I think a profound way to align not just with your values, but also to feel the way that you want to feel and be the person who you want to be throughout that. And I think that probably there is a specific and underlying detailed plan that I'm sure you have, that you work with people to get them to have that and not just chase those things and achieve those things, but practice and associate how you feel if or when you achieve that thing and what that's going to be like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think to offer listeners one easy way to grab onto this, because I think it's about the application. I mean, nothing that we're talking about now will be new throughout centuries. It might be new to some listeners, but generally it's not new. But the application of it is that we actually have to apply it. And what that looks like, one simple thing is to bring more awareness to what you are thinking about most of the time. And so you might wake up in the morning and identify what are 3 thoughts I had this morning. And I'll give you a couple of examples in the listeners. One of my thoughts often has been, I should be further ahead. And so then I identify that thought. That's an interesting thought. How does that thought make me feel? Anxious, behind, overwhelmed, disappointed, frustrated. Again, when do I get to arrive? I'm still behind. I'm constantly behind. We can live our whole lives feeling behind. So that's an interesting thought. Another thought, one that I've actually chosen and actively fostered within myself. So I used to have a thought, I'm tired when I wake up in the morning. And I changed that to I'm lean and healthy. So I wake up and I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm lean and healthy. And it makes me feel good. It makes me excited to eat well. It makes me excited to drink more water. And it makes me get myself outside and into the gym. So just bringing some awareness to what are the thoughts that are playing out? Because they're so unconscious at this stage. What are 3 thoughts that I had this morning? How do those thoughts make me feel? And are those thoughts I want to continue? Because those thoughts comprise my world. Like we can, for example, very successful people, it's my experience, some of our best and brightest are very hard on themselves. It's what makes them really good. They have very high standards for themselves, generally in almost every area of their life, and so they are very hard on themselves to perform. That quality of life doesn't usually, that quality of mind and thinking, doesn't usually make for a very peaceful life. Now, it's not that it's not useful. It gets us to achieve. So we want to, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So we might keep the high standards, but we might simply invite in, what is the way that I want to think that would have me also feel joy, pride, quiet inner pride, satisfaction, fulfillment, enjoy all the success that I've worked so hard to achieve. And it can't constantly be thoughts about beating the mule of more, do more, have more, become more. Because we can do that for the rest of our lives. And if we do that, the human mind is such that the more we think a thought, the more we will think that thought, because it comes a sort of a neural connection. And then our brain naturally shoots down that way without any awareness we're doing it. And it grows our brain in a very particular way. And then that's our default. That's what we call reality. So it takes attention. What have I been thinking? What do I think? What thoughts do I want to replace? And then we continue to replace them until all of a sudden those become automatic. And then we actually feel very differently in our lives, such that when I will begin with a client, I'll say what will be success, tangible and intangible outcomes of our work together. And at the end of our work, I will say, here's where we started from. Where are you now? And such that they won't even remember some of where they started. They will say, was that actually a thing? I'll say, yeah, that's literally why you hired me. And they can't even remember it. And I just think, isn't that the most beautiful thing?
Okay, I several different things that I want to talk about from there. So a question that I've struggled with and trying to find the answer to this, I think is really a big challenge, is behavioral change something that is actually possible? And if so, if it is possible, what are the specific steps in order to achieve that? I think you're hitting the nail on the head on a lot of those. So I've read Joe Dispenza, and he talks about that a lot of the thoughts that we have from day in and day out are the exact same that we've had last year and last week and last month and last year. They're all the same. And so if we want to change who we are, we need to first be aware. Like you said, you have to be aware of those thoughts, allow them to feel and do what they need to do, and then let them set aside. These thoughts are not serving me anymore. I can move on from them. I've grown past those. And then there's also a bit of NLP in there, neuro-linguistic programming, where you are thinking of your thoughts, and then you're shifting your focus about how you're thinking about those, the words that you're associating with those, because that all matters. And then of course you bring in the conscious and the subconscious, because the subconscious is how we know to be us tomorrow when we wake up, right? Like those are the things that are ingrained into us from such a small age. Like everything you hear between 0 to 7, your mind hears, you accept as fact, and then you wear that as a persona, like the Greeks would wear a persona back in the day. That's what that was called. But they would wear that persona throughout everyday life. And you don't know that you're wearing this. You don't know that you're showing up in every conversation. You have all this baggage that's with you from so long, and you don't even know why or where that it's even there. So unless you do the process of consciously talking to the subconscious, being aware of your thoughts, talking to it via the neuro-linguistic program, or using some positive affirmations, because I think all of those are ways that you can access and talk to the subconscious. And then what can happen, then you can start to see what's in there. You can take the stuff from the subconscious, move it to the conscious. So, yeah, this is not helpful for me. Throw it out, because that's not there. And I think that, all of those things are, like, if there is a way to actually do real behavior change, and I suspect that there is, at least a lot of the steps, if not all of the steps, are right there. You just detail them.
Well, I think there's so many ways for us to learn and grow and change. There's so many access points. And I say, try whichever one is going to work for you. But certainly I think, and I'm heavily influenced by Dr. Joe Dispenza and Michael Singer and Eckhart Tolle, and I could name thousands. It's been said a million and one ways. There's so many ways to access. So find one that works for you. But certainly the simplest way is just to bring more awareness to where do I spend? If you had money and you could buy so many thoughts per day, what am I buying and bringing into my house? And is that going to have me enjoy my life and do the things that I want to do to achieve the vision and success that I want for myself and my family? Because you only have so much internal attention. And I think we're not intentional enough in where we're going to spend that. And so it's just bringing more awareness. First things first, spend the first week. Where am I spending that now? What am I thinking and how's it making me feel? And just go, interesting. That's interesting. Then with more awareness, then you can decide, wait a second, what one thought or two or three thoughts would really serve me? Like I can achieve anything I set my mind to. Or one of mine is I can do anything I want to do. I only have to want to do it. I've watched myself do this. If I really want to do something, I'll stay up till like 3 a.m. or all night to do it. If I don't, I'll push it off forever. So I just need to find a way that would make me want to do things. So find some thoughts. Look at people that you admire in any fashion of life. You might admire someone, the way they manage their health and fitness. And you might say, how does that person think? What are they thinking about today? How are they feeling? And what are they going to do today? And is there one thing that could I take one of those thoughts? Like, I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, I hired a personal trainer that lives just down the road, and she's a mom of 4, and she's just got the health, vitality, body I dream of. And I hired her, and I said, look, I've worked out for years. I've taken nutrition courses. I'm certified in plant-based nutrition. I know what I should do. I'm just not doing it. I want to pay you and listen to how you think. And so just for an hour, she said, gave me some things. But one of the things she gave me was she said, look, when I take my kids to baseball and they want to go to McDonald's, for a treat after, she's like, I get them an ice cream and I go home and I go and make myself something that's really going to make me happy because I deserve to feel good. And if I have that ice cream, I'm actually not going to feel good, not after it. And I thought, wow, this thought, I deserve to feel good, was a new thought for me, because when I would take my kids, through the drive-through, I'd be like, I deserve to have an ice cream. I mean, come on, I just want one ice cream with my kids. And of course, sometimes I still do that. But I always saw it as a sacrifice if I couldn't have one. And I thought, she doesn't see it that way. She's not thinking that way. She's thinking the opposite is, I am going to do something that's really going to make me feel good because I deserve to feel great. And so I get to go home and have something, filled with protein and, Greek yogurt with something. I thought, wow, there's a new thought. And that one thought changed everything for me. And it repeats in my mind years after. And so that's the power of this work. It starts to change, it becomes a simple thought. Then it becomes who we believe we are. And then it's part of our identity. And that's where it really, really pays off.
Now, okay, so how do we link that to leadership? We have the outer life, the inner life. We've been talking about those and how they kind of connect to us as on a personal level. How do we bring that into our work life, our leadership life?
Well, leadership is just behind every leadership title is a human being trying to master themselves, who limits him or herself just as the rest of us do by thinking what we believe is possible for us and our teams, what we believe is possible in the world, in the marketplace, and then how we interact with people. Like you said earlier, without any awareness, we bring our past into every present moment, and thereby we recreate the same life experience everywhere we go. And so we can achieve all kinds of things and go, why don't I feel better by now? Why don't I feel differently? Why don't I feel more powerful when I hold a significant position of power? Why don't I feel more wealthy when I have the kind of money I only dreamed of? And the reason is because we're still dragging that same identity forward. So it has everything to do with leadership. The details of the conversation change slightly, which is how do you use yourself to serve your team and then ultimately the system of the organization. But the work still is personal because we are working with and through other human beings, and we are triggered by certain personalities, the level of stress and visibility. How do we manage that so that we don't make work for ourselves with other people? How do we, if we grew up avoiding conflict, that's a significant hindrance. And so how do we learn to have real conversations with people early and often instead of avoid them, which is what many of us do because it's going to, we might have a history of, that does not go well. So we don't ever do that. So it's all a human process.
Well, I guess that connects the human side, like you said, to the work side, because we are that same person. And that means that the inverse is true. If we had a bad morning, let's say, if our home life is maybe even perpetually out of sync with where you think it should be, and you can feel that in your body, you go to work, you might try to put on a good face and maybe fake it for a couple people, but the people who know you, and probably even the people who don't know you, are going to very easily be able to tell that something's not right. And that means
Yeah.
if you're the manager, if you're the line worker, or if you're the CEO, it doesn't matter if your home life is out of sync, out of measure, out of whatever the word that you want to use there is. But if it isn't in line with where you think it should be, and you know it, you can feel it, even if you're trying to lie to yourself and say, it's actually not that bad. When you go to work, those people around you know it. And if you're the CEO, if you're the head of the company, your business will start to feel it as well. Do you find that to be the case?
Absolutely. What we do just becomes magnified. So it matters even more because leaders bring the weather and the climate and matter. It impacts people enormously. I once read a piece about Oprah Winfrey that when she was at her highest weight, she would walk down the hallways of Harpo Studios, and she was so embarrassed, according to this story, which I believe is true, is that she was embarrassed of who she was, so and that she couldn't grapple with this, this one issue in her life, that she wouldn't look people in the eye. So imagine you report into Oprah Winfrey, you're delighted to be there. You pass her in the hall and she doesn't look at you. Your first thought is, she doesn't like me, she doesn't like the work I'm doing, I'm not important to her. I mean, that kind of thing really matters. There's no off the record when you're a leader, just as there's no off the record when you're a parent. You become something more to other people than you actually are. You become famous. What you do and what you say really matters. And we know this from our own experiences. The whole world can say, you're amazing, we're proud of you, but we want it from our mother and our father. And we'll spend our whole life chasing that. And when we don't get it, we will cannibalize other people. And a lot of clients throughout the year will do this, as they want it from their CEO or their board members or their advisors. They want that validation, just like a child wants their parent to say, I'm proud of you. And so when we are in a leadership role of any kind, and that includes parenting, we need to understand we really matter to other people. We have so much power that other people have bestowed upon us. And our job is to honor that power by recognizing people, seeing them, voicing when they're doing great work and anything that we want to continue. That's really important. And then voicing the things that, hey, no, that doesn't fly here. No, not part of our culture. What the hell are you doing over there? Come over here. This is not who you are. This is not who we are. More like this. Do you understand? And so we do both of those things. And that's what great parents do, what great coaches do. It's what great leaders do.
That reminds me, Jordan Peterson, I think in his first book, well, not his first book, in 12 Rules for Life, the first one, he says, don't let your kids do things that make you dislike them. And I think that is not only so applicable to a parent, but to a leader, to a business owner, to not let your employees do things that makes you dislike them, or to make it so that, you can't agree with the things that they're doing, especially in the business world. And you talked about conflict a bit ago, that if you are not able to have those conversations when they're small, when they're easy to have, when they first happen, then
Yeah.
the opportunity to have them way later on, it doesn't get easier. Don't assume, don't think that it's going to fix itself. They'll get the hint. No, you need to be in that position, whether it's with your kids or with your employees. You need to be able to tell them, hey, listen, I don't know that I agree with this, and here's why. Or you ask them, why did you choose to do it this way? And then that way, at least then you have a dialogue. And if you come at them from a questioning type of stance, as opposed to, I don't like this and that, that changes the dynamic a little bit. So just ask them, why did you choose to do it this way? You hear them out.
Yeah.
I see why you got there. Let's do it this way instead. I think let's try it this way and see how that goes. And, then you get the same thing across. It is a little bit of confrontation because you have to kind of tell them that you don't like the way they're doing things. But if you do it in that way, it makes that so much easier to take.
Yes. Well, you said something really key, which is we hope they get the hint. And so it's our attempt to do something, and then when they don't, we usually vent behind their back in some fashion, maybe just at home. And none of that honors the other person. I think it's more loving and more kind. And it's absolutely a leadership necessity that we go and have the direct conversation with that person, give them feedback that they may need to live the values and what's needed for the culture of the company, or to inquire and partner with, interesting, you delivered something this way. Here was the impact it had on me or the team, or, and we have some conversation. But it is a way that we honor other people, that we will confront them by having the real conversation with them, both confronting them with their gifts, talents, and potential, as well as anything that we think needs to be changed or should be changed.
Well, okay, so you talk about honor. Not only are you honoring that other person because you care about them enough to have that conversation, but you care about the customers enough to have that conversation. You care enough about the business to have that conversation. It's yes, you're right. Absolutely. You have to honor that person, but it's so much bigger than that. If you actually zoom out, because it's that person, but that person has impact over their specific people that they're working with, their other employees that they're interacting with, and then the company as a total. So it's not just you have to honor that person, but and that's absolutely right. That's first and foremost. But on top of that, it's all of the other cogs in the machine that you also are honoring by having that conversation.
And you said something again super important. That you cared enough. I think there's this culture that I've noticed, and it started with the book, the Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I think it's a wonderful book, and I get the intention, but I think some of the misunderstanding of that is, I just don't care. And I hear it subtly in different ways. And it's like, I don't care what people think. And it's like, that's not true. First of all, human beings, we do care about what some people think, and we should care about what some people think. I care greatly about the people that I love and respect, my family, what they think of me. And I care greatly about what my peers in my field think of me, because they know this work. They are educated. They have experience here. And so I should care about what they think and take that in, not swallow it whole, but go, that's interesting. Maybe I need to adjust myself. And so I think it is really, caring is like critical. Care about what some people think. Find those people. Those are your informal board of directors in your life and in leadership. And really care more than anyone else cares. And you will stand out.
In Own Your Past, Change Your Future, John Deloney talks about, towards the end, about you should have a core group of people, 5, 6, maybe 8 people in your life that you care what they think about you, what they say about you, and it's a two-way street. So you care about them, but then they care about you, and they are the people that you care enough about that when you hear them say something, you take it to heart and you do something about it. But not necessarily, I don't care about what this person writes on social media. Okay, whatever. Right. They don't know, whatever. And so the sum part, I think, is the caveat there. And having that core group of people, like, listen, these people can impact how I feel. And I choose these people. This is my round table. This is my knights at the table here. I care about you and you care about me. Let's have these tough conversations because I want to have them with you in order to better us all together. And when you have that type of relationship with somebody, because you care about them and they care about you, then it's an upward trajectory for the whole group, for everybody that's involved. But if you don't care about anybody, right? If I don't care about what anybody thinks, okay, well then maybe that's not the right way to go, because then you're going to be wandering down all kinds of weird paths that are not meant for you, or not going to be helpful for you or anybody for that matter. And all of these people are here lining up to tell you, hey, this isn't right. Don't do this. I don't like this. This isn't you. But you're not listening to them, even though they're the core group of people. So you have to have some people in your life that you actually do care about, that you actually, not only that you care about, but they care about you as well.
Yeah, and they care enough to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. That I don't know about you, but I usually don't want to hear it in the moment. I've gone through all my learning, kicking and screaming. But now what I've learned to do is go, I hear you. I've heard you. Let me take that away.
It is a humbling experience for us on the other side to be able to do it. And I think that comes with practice. With practice and openness. So practice meaning the more we have opportunities to do it, the better we'll get at it. But openness meaning if we allow those people, we empower those people to tell us, hey, listen, tell me if you don't like what I'm doing. Tell me if you don't like this, or the way we acted, or the way this email looked on let me know. Yeah. Because otherwise I don't know. Otherwise I can't have that change. And you have to have that openness, but also the humble and the practice to be able to do it as well.
Yeah. Well, I have it's a tool, the most simplest tool you can imagine. Anytime I've gotten feedback or performance review, or a client's going to share something, and I always feel like, oh, great, I'm going to the principal's office. I always have that same feeling, and I brace myself. And then if there is any sort of delta feedback, like something didn't go as well as I wanted it to, the first thing I say to myself is, ouch. Ouch, that hurt. And that can be with something my child says, a tone of voice my husband takes, all the way to any sort of conversations in business is, ouch. I'm just simply acknowledging to myself that hurts and I feel hurt. And it's okay. And so it gives me just a second to acknowledge it, feel it, and not push it away, not defend in the conversation. Because I think I know for myself, I can easily start defending. Because there's always good reasons why we're doing what we're doing, and we can never see ourselves as others see us. So it just gives me that little tiny breathing room to continue to listen and go, okay, what might be here? So there you go. Just say ouch, because it hurts. It does hurt. We're all very sensitive creatures.
Yes. Now, okay, so I want to talk some more about that outer life. And I think that those outer life traps are all over for us, especially I think for those people that are high performers. And I guess my question is, what are some common outer life traps that you find that the high performers often are falling prey to?
I think there would be just the usual things of any kind of acknowledgement from someone we believe is somebody we place on a pedestal in some way, being invited to certain events over others, any kind of opportunity, promotion, job, etc. Other people giving us their attention. Any when I get the house, when I, just, name your thing that you're looking for. All those things are wonderful. And I really think we should chase our dreams. I'm simply inviting a different mindset while we do it.
And of course, we're always chasing that next thing, that external reward, but it doesn't solve the internal side of it. And
it can't by itself, no.
Yeah.
And the sooner you know that, the better off you'll be. By itself, it won't bring you what you think. You can't solve outside, an outside thing to solve an inside problem. And that's really good news, because then you can stop endlessly chasing these things and go inward and go, what is it that I really want?
Well, it also means that we're not broken. We're not the only ones that feel like this. It's everybody.
Yes. No, that's so insightful. No one's broken. And most of us, I've been fascinated by how often most of us feel badly. I mean, just daily, there are so many things to feel bad about. And why do most of us feel bad most of the time? Like, if we want to punish a human being, what do? We put them in solitary confinement. left alone with only their own mind. That's how we punish people. I mean, what is it inside of our mind that we can't endure? That's what I'm fascinated by. And how can we make it beautiful inside?
Well, okay, so that's an interesting kind of juxtaposition to where we are culturally, because culturally we all have our phones, we're consistently scrolling. We have these constant things that are begging our attention. And I think what that does is that separates us from the ability to be able to sit quietly with your own thoughts, with your own mind, to just think, to be. And when we are consistently offloading or putting off that task of feeling, then we are prone to, eventually we have to feel those things. It's going to explode, and people are exploding all over the time. And that person who's mad isn't necessarily mad at me or the thing that even happened right now. But Zig Ziglar has a story about who kicked their cat. I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's a very interesting story. Anyways, basically means that person isn't mad at me. They're mad at whatever happened to them or their neighbor or whatever. So because we have social media, because we're bombarded with all of these bells and whistles on our phones, or consistently nagging and pulling our attention away, we can't sit quietly. We can't sit. People don't write, and they don't journal. They don't take notes like they used to. They go to class or whatever. They're okay, hit play. They're wait for the teachers. Okay, pause. They don't do anything with those things. They don't take notes. They're not using. We're not. I think as a civilization, we are using our brain much less now than where we were 15, 20, even 10 years ago.
Yeah, and with the chat and all those, even less so. I do have hope for the incoming generations, though, because I see young people actively putting their phone. They grew up with it, so they're so used to it. So it's not something special as it is sort of for maybe my generation, and they really are, spending time going out in nature. And I took my daughter fishing recently, and there were just 4 or 5 boys, all the age of like 13 and 14. And they were just catching these fish, hanging out together, not a phone in sight. And I thought, I think we'll be okay. Well, I think human beings have a way of coming back to themselves.
I heard a recent guest, Stephen Paree, talked about that when he was growing up, smoking was a big thing. Everybody did it. The doctors, the teachers, everybody did. Oh, it's not bad for you. And then we actually learned about it. And his hope is that for his kids, that social media is how we look at smoking, is what social media will be for them. And what a profound, amazing way to think about that.
Yeah. And to your point, I think if all we do is bake in time where we put our phone away and we go out in nature in any capacity and just walk in a forest or go by any kind of body of water that you can get around and just sit. We will, or even better, if you can lay on the grass. I mean, do you remember being a kid and laying on the grass and looking up at the clouds? There's a sense of timelessness and a remembrance of who we once were without all the noise of this information coming at us. And something, a practice like that, even 5 minutes a day, can literally do so much for each of us. It doesn't need to be some big meditative retreat that you need to go on, but if you can do that, great too. But really just go out somewhere in nature for 5 minutes a day and just look at the clouds and just hang out there for a bit. Nothing you need to do. Your thoughts will come. You can notice them. Nothing you need to do about any of them.
Just let them be.
Just let them be.
Yeah.
Don't need to act on any of them. Just, oh, that's interesting.
Okay, so we were just talking about those external achievements and how, because we are consistently searching those, we're not broken inside. That's how everybody is, right? We need to have some sort of way to feel and practice way and not described, but a prescribed way to feel when we achieve that thing. That way, when we allow ourselves to feel those things, when we achieve that. Now, my question maybe is the flip side of that. How does fear, or even deep fear, factor into that? And why does that show up or tend to show up in leadership? And how do we deal with that? What do we do there?
Yeah, I think so many of our thoughts are fear-based. If this presentation doesn't go well, I need to get the X, Y, and Z's approval in this meeting. Or am I being seen? Is my work being seen? If we watch ourselves, we will notice how we do so much from fear, from I need them to like me. I need to perform in some manner. Almost everything we do is some low level grade of fear or anxiety behind it. I personally named my podcast Deep Fear because I thought I should talk about something I know something about. My career has forced me to face so many of my own fears. I'm very introverted. I work at home alone for a reason and have done so for 24 years. And I've been forced to just say yes to things to advance myself, and walk on stage that, I would literally pray for the plane to crash as I was flying to the location. Like, legit. I thought that would be easier than walking onto that stage. I am terrified. And yet I would push myself every single time, simply because I want freedom. And I think if we don't go towards fear and see that there's nothing there, our lives just become smaller and smaller and smaller and much more limited. And so if we are going to lead ourselves in our own life and then lead others, coach and develop others to perform at higher and higher levels and achieve at higher and become more, like, it's not just what we achieve, but it's what those achievements force us and enable us to become. It's who we become in the process. And are we going to become more open, loving, aware, limitless, or are we going to become more cynical, negative, and limited? So I think that, we need to work towards, what am I afraid of if I speak up in this meeting? People are going to disagree with me. The CEO is not going to like it. Who do I think I am? Everyone wants to move forward. I might look, embarrass myself. So watch the fear and then go, what do I believe is in the best interest of the people I serve and the responsibilities or the systems I'm meant to advance? And then we have those conversations.
Okay, so listening to you talk about that, to me, is the acceptance of a challenge of stepping outside of the comfort zone. And I always kind of conceptualize that the comfort zone is like your warm bed on a cold morning. The alarm goes off, you hit snooze. So nice and cozy.
So good in
snuggle
there. Yeah.
back into the blanket, snooze. Eventually you chuck that thing over against the wall. You don't want to leave that comfort zone. It's so comfortable. It's warm and cozy. That's where that comfort zone is. But the problem with that is, if we stay in that bed, if we stay warm and cozy all day, all week, all month, all year, then we never grow. We never do anything more. And moreover than that, we actually will start to shrink and be a lesser version of ourselves. Because if you just stay in bed all the time, where are you going to go to the bathroom at? Where's the food coming in? Like, there's all sorts of problems there. So if you look at the comfort zone like a challenge to yourself that you want to accept, to better yourself, to grow, to be more than what you are, then you have to be willing to put your feet on the ground and get up and start your day, or to step out of your comfort zone and get up on stage and go and talk to those people. And public speaking is the number one fear over death. Like, somebody would rather be in the casket,
I wanted to die,
buried, as opposed to giving the eulogy at the ceremony, which is such a wild thing.
Well, I think, we have these, things that float around on social media. We say to each other, like, leap and the net will appear, do one thing every day that scares you, live outside your comfort zone. All those are wonderful platitudes. If you have ever spent any time living outside your comfort zone, you will know it is terrifying. Whether, you went through a divorce and the rug was, and you had to rebuild your whole life, or you went through a diagnosis, or a loved one did, or you're trying to advance yourself in your career in significant ways, it is terrifying. And I don't want to downplay that. I think it's for the courageous. I think it's for the brave. And anytime you have a conversation that you would otherwise remain silent on, that you believe is important for the people or the task at hand or for the world, and you take that initiative to do it, that is leadership. And I want you to, regardless of the outcome that comes from that conversation, I want you to be proud that you stepped up and you took the risk. Even if it goes sideways, success was that you did it, not that it achieved any outcome, because the outcome is usually out of our hands. And this will help you to continue to push, the little birdie out of the nest. When you have that instinct, take that one step, because then you grow that muscle and you learn that, okay, that didn't go as I wanted, or, it went actually better than I wanted. But now you've got that little tiny bit more muscle, and you're building that muscle, and it's important that you build it.
Okay,
It's really important.
I want to circle back to leadership, but what you were just talking about there was essentially fear of failure. And I think the reason for that is because societal pressures, or there's the outer versus inner again. The societal pressures teaches us that failure is a negative thing. Oh, you failed this, you're no good. But if we have a different, if we change, use it in NLP, we change the way that we're talking about this, or we change the way we're thinking about this. This failure isn't necessarily I am a failure. It just means I failed at this one thing, this one time. And so go back to the drawing board, iterate, test again. Okay, that's worked this time. Okay, great. Good. Then move on. Or
Yeah.
nope, it didn't work again. And everybody likes to bring up Thomas Edison there. And whatever he did or didn't do, okay, fine. But be willing to fail, but not just fail, but fail forward. Right? Zig Ziglar talks
Yeah.
about that. Failure is an event, not a person. Yesterday ended, last night, tomorrow, or today is a brand new day. So be willing to put your foot forward. I failed. Okay, that's fine. No problem. Everybody
Yeah.
fails. If you're not failing, you're not stretching. If you're not failing, you're not growing. You have to fail. And as a teacher, failure is a part of learning, right? You have to fail in order for your brain to actually rewire and do something different the next time. Like you touch that hot stove. Ooh, okay, that's hot. I'm not going to do that
Yeah.
again. And then you never touch the hot stove again. You failed. Yep, you did actually in that moment. Okay, fine. But you had to do that in order to learn to not do that again. You talk about leadership. So you probably don't know this, but my day job, quote unquote, I say day job, but actually I teach at nighttime, but I'm a professional martial arts instructor. I've been training martial arts since I was age 11. Now I'm 37, so I've been doing it for a long time. That's my first and only job. Really, this is just kind of a fun thing I get to do, and I get to talk to people like you and learn from you. But we have something that we teach our students there, which is, what does it mean to be a leader? Being a leader means having the courage to take a stand for what you truly believe in, despite what others may say or believe. It also means living your life with compassion for others and assisting others in doing the same through your actions and words. And I think that you were talking about that, like having that tough conversation to step out of your comfort zone to do that, even if it's just that one time, just to flex that muscle just a little bit. Okay, great, I did it. Okay, man, that was tough. And then you can go back and have reprieve or whatever. And then you have an opportunity to do that again and again. But if you take that, being a leader that I was just saying there, if you take being a leader there, having the courage to take a stand for what you truly believe in, despite what others may say or believe. So that means there's going to be opposition. You're going to have those tougher, challenging conversations, but it also means that you're doing that because you care enough to have those conversations, like to kind of circle back to what we were talking about before. That to me sums up what it means to be a leader.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. You've said it perfectly. There it is. I think not enough of us recognize how powerful we are, that what we do, how we do it, what we say, our actions, they matter and they impact other people, and they have the power to make or break someone's day. And they may make or break someone's life by our words and our actions. We're so powerful. And I think once we come to really appreciate the power we have, we use it more effectively.
Okay, so that kind of brings me to a good point now. Leaders, there's a lot of myths, I think, that kind of connect with leaders, right? They cling to, they block their work, both inner and outer. So what are some of those myths? Like I'm trying to think of, like, I got to always look strong. I got to be that guy. I got to be the go-to person. I can never say I don't know something, because I can't be a leader to do that. What are some other myths that would block them there? And then if you could, to talk about maybe some ways to overcome those myths.
Yeah, maybe one of the biggest one is, it's been said the hardest thing in the world is to be ourselves. And I think we're all on our own journey to becoming ourselves and to knowing, like, who is that? And what I have learned in my journey so far, in my personal journey and in the work I do, is I feel like myself always felt like so ordinary and boring that I wanted to be something so much more than what I am. And when I have come to accept maybe I'm just ordinary and boring, it has allowed me to be myself. And then I realized that's what we talk about when we talk about authenticity. And so I think it is that would be one of the key themes, is because leaders can show up in so many different ways. I mean, we can have a leader like a Tony Robbins, sort of very verbose and like big on stage and like big, voice gestures and powerful. And we can have a leader like Mother Teresa. Mm. And both can be extremely effective. So I think leadership is only the ability to work extraordinarily well with and through other people. Up, down, across, inside our organization, outside our organization, and at home. How we lead our family system. And the most powerful place we can come from is to be ourselves. And what does that mean? It usually means letting go of everything else you think you should be, or that someone told you to be. And we know these people when we see them. I know authenticity is an overused word, but just if we use it as a pointer, we love these people who are so fully themselves. That can say, I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to find out. We should know the answer to that. I should know the answer to that. Let me get an answer to that. And they just disarm things, or, this thing went sideways and someone said, oh, that was me. Shoot, that was me and my team. We got to go fix this. I mean, why are we're so afraid to just be ourselves? And if we simply do the work to just accept, and maybe the invitation is, my experience has been, just accept that you're a mere mortal along, this human journey with the rest of us. You're really good at maybe one or two things, and you're really bad at just about everything else. And so you need other people. I just marvel at how much other people do things so that I can live my life. I mean, when I travel, when I leave my house, there's about 10,000 people that need to have done their jobs exceptionally well for me to land in my location and get all the way home back to my family safely. And it's like, thank you, 10,000 people. Like, thank you, pilot. I'm the person that comes up to the pilot at the end with almost tears in my eyes and says, thank you for landing, going to school, studying this and knowing how to fly this incredible machine and landing it. Like, that's incredible. Like, I'm just delighted. I'm like, and the pilot usually doesn't know what to do with me. So if we just, become ourselves, let yourself be yourself, watch the fear that will come up. You can't say that. You can't do that. It will come. For me, I'm a naturally enthusiastic person. I'll write an email to a potential client saying, I would absolutely love to work with you. It was so great to meet you. And then I have watched myself go, well, that sounds unprofessional. Like, you sound too eager. And in the past, I would edit it. And now I'm like, screw it. I would love to work with them. I hit send. And then when I ask them, why did you hire me over other executive coaches? They'll say, because you really wanted to work with me. It's like, oh, I could be myself. And in fact,
when you find your tribe and they want to work with you, and you want to work with them, then that connection's made. But it's all about finding your tribe. And if you are doing what everybody else is doing, then you're finding their tribe and not you. You're faking it along their journey.
Yeah. And I think we're all on our own journey to becoming ourselves. But if you can start to free yourself, watch fear come up of how you naturally want to answer something or how you want to show up, and just baby step it forward. To what degree can I be myself? To what degree will I allow myself to be myself? And what are the implications of that? Because there are great implications in our world, sometimes violence and death for you being yourself, depending on where you live. So make good choices for yourself, but see where you can allow yourself to be yourself.
Well, Susanne, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Your message we talked about here today reminds us that leadership isn't what you achieve, but it's who you are on the inside when you don't let those outside pressures kind of dictate what you're doing. And, we talked about having the outer life trap, how external successes without that inner clarity can lead to that cost of not showing up for the people that are with you or there for you, that tribe that we were just talking about. Do you have any key thoughts or final takeaways that you would like to leave the listeners with? And, if they wanted to get in contact with you to work with you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Sure. My one final thought is, if you are here listening to this, and this is where you are choosing to spend your time, you are a success. You are a highly functioning human being. As you said, no one here is broken. And I feel like you should give most of your attention to the fact that you are someone who invests your time in learning more about yourself so you can take great care of yourself, so you can make your own dreams come true, so that you can be the best kind of person for other people to interact with in the world. So be proud of yourself. You are everything you want to be right in this moment as you listen. So that's the thing I would leave you with. The other is the best way to contact me or follow anything that I do is my website, SusanneBiro.com. I have a book coming out. I spent the last 3 years writing it based on 24 years of coaching senior level leaders and very successful men and women around the world. 3 years painstakingly writing it so that it could be nothing more and nothing less than what you need to apply what we have just spoken about. So you can go to SusanneBiro.com/book and find out more about that.
Very good. And I'll be sure to leave that in the show notes as well. Listeners, if this episode moved you, share it with somebody who you think values high performance and human fulfillment. Subscribe and sign up for a newsletter for tools that will that'll help you to lead from the inside out. Until next time, lead with inner strength.